Hello everyone, my name's Satima and welcome back to the Race Edit. And if you're new here, welcome to the Race Edit and welcome to a new episode. Welcome to round 5 of the 2025 Formula One season, where this week we raced in Saudi Arabia. We've come to the end of the triple header, our first triple header of the season, and a much needed break. We need this break that we're about to get into because what a triple header it's been. What a triple header it's been. I'm so happy that, you know what, it's been a solid 3 races and we finished the race with the Ferrari podium. We finished the triple header with the Ferrari podium. And to me, that can only mean good things, fingers crossed. But let's do this how we always do this, with my handy dandy notebook and starting off with qualifying and then getting into the point scores for the day. So, Jeddah. Interesting. I have to say, after the high of Bahrain, Jeddah wasn't as exhilarating, should I say. It was still a fun race, especially towards the end when Lando was catching Charles, and I was like, no. However, coming off the high of Bahrain, Jeddah was, I guess, maybe a good way to end off our triple header until we get to Miami in a week and a bit, or in 2 weeks, should I say. But yeah, let's start off with qualifying, starting from the bottom up, as you know. So we have Gabriel Bartoletto, 20th. He qualified 20. Then we have Esteban Ocon, 19. Nico Hulkenberg, 18. The Sauber car, just like last year, it's not looking good. Those points that Nico Hulkenberg brought in, I can't remember what I don't want to say, was it? Yeah. First race of the season. Those 7 points that Nico Hulkenberg brought in was definitely needed, because remember last year, they only scored points once in the entire season, and that was the last race of the season, if I remember correctly. But yeah. Then we have Jack Doohan, 17th, Lance Stroll, 16th, Oliver Bearman, 15th. Qualifying. We'll get into the Haas in a minute. Isaac Hadjar, 14th, Alonso, 13th, Liam Lawson outqualified Isaac Hadjar, 12th, Alex Albon, 11th, Lando Norris, 10th because of a crash in Q3, which really, you can't be doing this when you're in a championship winning car potentially, right? Then we have Pierre Gasly qualified 9th, Yuki Tsunoda qualified 8th, Hamilton 7th. We'll talk about that. Carlos Sainz 6th, Kimi Antonelli 5th, Leclerc 4th, George Russell 3rd, Oscar Piastri lost out on pole position, so he qualified 2nd. And then, of course, Max Verstappen qualified 1st, as, you know, when it comes to Max Verstappen, he knows how to put in a clean 1 lap and get that pole position if he can find. If there's a will, there's a way with Max Verstappen, shall I say. If there's a will, there's a way, and Lando Norris crashed out in Q3. It was between the McLaren of Oscar Piastri and the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. And Max Verstappen, hey, he's been in this game for a long time. He has. Now, when we talk about the race, we're just going to go over our race results first, and then I'll talk about the top 10 like I typically do. So we have Gasly, who finished 2nd due to a DNF. Tsunoda, 19th, due to a DNF. They had their crash on lap 1. Gabriel Bortoletto ended up finishing the race 18th. Jack Doohan, 17th. Lance Stroll, 16th. Nico Hulkenberg, 15th. Esteban Ocon, 14th. Ollie Bearman, 13th, which sucks because they finished so well last race. I feel like it's going to be a back and forth between the Haas and the Williams this season. You already know I'm still holding on to the hope the Haas is going to finish 5th in the standings by the end of the season this year. However, last race we had double points for Haas. This race we have double points for Williams. You see where I'm going with this? Then we had Liam Lawson. He finished 12th. He also had a 10-second penalty for gaining a position off the track, for leaving the track and then leaving the track and getting a position, should I say. And then Isaac Hadjar finished 10th. Alex Albon, 9th. Almost didn't. Carlos Sainz, 8th. We then have Lewis Hamilton, qualified 7th, finished 7th. I mean, what can you do? Kimi Antonelli 6th, George Russell 5th, Norris 4th, Charles Leclerc 3rd, Max Verstappen 2nd, and guess what, everybody? We have a new championship leader with Oscar Piastri finishing the Jeddah Grand Prix first, and now he's 10 points ahead of his teammate. And what did I say last week? I said, Oscar Piastri, I will be seated for when you win the WDC this year. I don't want to jinx him because I actually do want Oscar Piastri to win the WDC. Like, I don't play about Oscar Piastri. And if a McLaren driver is going to win the WDC, I'm hoping it's Oscar. But that's just me, you know? So when we talk about our top 10, I think we need to talk about, well, let's start off with what happened with the Williams team. Because, as you know, honestly, Alex Albon was going through it this entire race with Isaac Hadjar pretty much just on him consistently. And I promise you, Isaac Hadjar might get a podium this year. I'm just saying, there's two rookies who I really think are going to get a podium this year, and it's going to be Isaac Hadjar, and it's going to be Kimi Antonelli. I'm so serious. Because those two have been extremely consistent. Again, forget about Australia for Isaac. Forget about Australia. And think about all his other races. He was out-qualified by his teammate, and he finished ahead of his teammate because he gained some great positions this race. He gained some great positions. Isaac Hadjar is a driver to keep an eye on, for real. But yeah, no, pretty much all race he was right behind Alex Albon. And there was a point when Alex Albon came on the radio, or when his team came on the radio, was telling him to think about his tires because they were getting too hot. I mean, no tire deg is an issue. And Alex Albon is really sassy on his radios this year, huh? Suspicious, isn't it? But no. On lap 11, they told Isaac not they on lap 11 they told Alex Albon to, think about the tires, and Alex Albon quickly shut that down and was pretty much like, are you guys forgetting that there's a car right behind me? Like, I'm keeping close to Carlos Sainz for a reason. I'm keeping close to my teammate for a reason. And think about that, you know? And up until the very end of the race, it was like that. Williams did end up using Carlos Sainz's, I guess at this point we might as well say he coined it. Because if you think about Singapore, was it Singapore 23? Sainz used DRS to win that race, pretty much. And ever since then, that's really just been his little thing. And Williams used that this race with Sainz and Alex to make sure that Alex was in DRS with Sainz, so therefore Hadjar couldn't get ahead of Alex because of that DRS. And lo and behold, here we are, finished 10th in the points, Williams double points needed. And it makes sense as to why Williams wanted Sainz so bad, because if there's one thing about Carlos Sainz, I'll give him that. While he's racing, he's also strategizing. He's like, yeah, we have a strategy team, but I'm also my own strategy team, pretty much. Also my own strategy team, and lo and behold, he was his own strategy team. And then from there, I just want to talk about, I know I said I was going to talk about the top 10. Alonso did finish 11th. Mind you, Alonso hasn't scored points at all this season. And I can't remember which race it was when I said that come 2026, yeah, Aston Martin will have Adrian Newey, which is a great thing for Aston Martin, but they also have to think about their driver lineup. And I said that for both drivers. I did. I said, yeah, Fernando Alonso is a two-time world champion. The last time Fernando Alonso won a race was in 2013. And the last time he scored podiums, I mean, Aston Martin was really good in 2023 for the first half of the season. But at this stage, if they want to win races, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think they have to think about something different. And I'm not see, I said it. And now everyone else is talking about it, about a potential Verstappen to Aston Martin replacing Alonso potentially, or Stroll. I have thoughts about if Lawrence Stroll will ever sell the team, because I don't really know. That's just my own thoughts that I've been thinking about recently about Aston Martin in the future of Lawrence Stroll with. But then again, he spent all that money on Adrian Newey, so for him to sell the team after the fact just wouldn't make sense as well. But I'm just really curious about Aston Martin's future. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if it's just me. I want to talk about the Ferraris and I talk about the Ferraris, but before I get into Hamilton's 7th position, I really do want to talk about the Mercedes because what did I say at the start of the season? I don't know that Mercedes pace. Mercedes dropped off towards the end of the race, and I've always said George Russell is very consistent. He's a consistent driver. He knows how to keep himself in a place where no matter what happens, he'll finish either P3, which he's done a lot this season. I think this is his second race this season where he did not finish on a podium, but he's always been really good at making sure he's at the right place at the right time. And Tonelli's a rookie. He's still figuring it out, but he has been right behind George for majority of the races this season, except for Bahrain, and that was a strategy error on Mercedes' part. However, I do think Mercedes is they're back and forth with Red Bull. In my opinion, I don't think Red Bull is the fourth fastest car, no matter what anyone says. I do think Mercedes is the second fastest car, and then Red Bull is also there too. They go back and forth based on the track, of course, between who has the second fastest car that race. However, I don't believe the Mercedes consistency that we've been seeing, and today was a testament of that, as was Japan, because Mercedes has always had issues in the past few years with their tires and with their tires dropping off, and they've definitely done better this year compared to previous years, because if this was previous years, they would have been finishing well, I guess we're there right now, 5th and 6th, maybe even 7th. They definitely would have. But whatever, my thing with Mercedes is that when they don't know what's wrong with their car, they really don't know what's wrong with their car. And they're just scratching their heads like, how did this happen? We saw that many times last year where they're just like, we don't know what the exact issue is, but there's an issue. And that feels to be the same with their tire issue that's potentially be picking up again, especially in warmer weather. So I'm really curious to see what happens in Miami now, because I don't know. I really am still trying to understand that Mercedes. Also, we saw this a lot last year, and we're not saying it this year, or maybe my algorithm's just not there because I haven't been keeping up with Mercedes as much as I used to. But a customer team is leading the championship, Mercedes. I'm just saying. Yeah, George is there with his consistent P3s, but they're leading both the WCC and the WDC. And as Mercedes and as the team who's the supplier of the engine, that has to make you scratch your head a little bit, no? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not Mercedes. You see? I'm not. Now, when we look at, let's talk about what actually, before I get into the Ferraris and the Verstappens and the McLarens, what happened this race? So we have Max Verstappen and Jeddah plus the stewards. What is going on? Whenever he comes to Jeddah, it's just like his brain just like stops and he's like, I'm gonna do what I want, and then the stewards can figure out what to do with me after. Which is not good, Max. He needs to stop doing that. But we saw this happen again today where it was bad behavior from Max. You can't. I mean, I guess he was going for, maybe they're going to consider it to be a turn one racing incident and they're just going to let me go through because it's lap one, turn one, and a lot of things fly during lap one, turn one. But no mas. No, sir. Max ended up getting a 5-second penalty because he gained a position by leaving the track. There was no space on the outside. And Max allegedly said Oscar forced him off, which, if you look at the replays, no, he didn't. So the question was, should Max just give the position back instead of worrying about a penalty? Max did not give the position back to Oscar, even though I believe it was rightfully Oscar's position. And because Max didn't give the position back, stewards ended up flagging it, and he got a 5-second penalty for that. Which really, I mean, in Jeddah, the 5-second penalty, it did cost him the win. It did cost him the win, I have to say. But as they say, clean air is king right now. And had Max conceded the position, I do think he still would have finished the race second no matter what. I don't think this was Max's race to win. Be after the whole issue, I don't think this was Max's race to win. What else happened? Oh, of course, we had Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, lap 1, where both of them ended up out of the race. They triggered the first yellow flag and safety car of the race. I don't think we had another one. We didn't have another safety car, I know that. I don't think we had another yellow flag, though, actually. Gasly went around the outside of Yuki, and again, there was just... Jeddah is one of those races where there will be a safety car. There will. Especially at the very start of the race. Like, it will happen. Which really sucks because Yuki just came off of a great race in Bahrain. I mean, a pretty good race. It's only his third race with that Red Bull team, with the senior Red Bull team. And, of course, it sucks that his third race was hindered by a turn 1 crash. I don't think Jeddah was just the place for him this weekend anyway, because he also crashed in practice as well. So, yikes for Yuki. But when we look at... This is why I like checking my phone. Whenever we have races and I record a video like an hour after the race has ended, I do love checking my phone to see if there's any updates. So the photo that Christian Horner is using to show that Red Bull's belief that Max Verstappen was ahead of Oscar Piastri at the apex of turn 1 is so funny. This is from Chris Medland. Here, let's see if you guys can see it. This is not serious behavior from Red Bull. And then one team boss, not from McLaren, saw it and said, let it go. He was never making that corner. We've been here before with Max. We have. He was never making that corner. Admittedly, the reason given for the penalty was simply that car 81 was alongside car 1 at the apex. Period. Anyway, because of this, Max received his 5-second penalty. He finished second in the race. And right now... It's giving, maybe, I don't know, man. I just don't know with Red Bull. They're in a weird place right now, and that's all I could say about that. Now, when we talk about the big 3 for this race, because I already spoke on Mercedes, but when we talk about the big 3 for this race, it's Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull. That's the big 3 for this race. Now, let's start with Ferrari, because ignoring the sprint, forget about the sprint weekend, Ferrari got their first podium of the season with Charles Leclerc on the medium tires that he extended for like 30 laps, and then the hards towards the end of the race. And Leclerc was flying this race, no doubt about it. I think that was a very well-deserved podium for Ferrari, for Charles. Charles has been on it. Simple as. I was really nervous at one point because I did think Lando Norris was going to catch up, and I think if he had a few more laps, yeah, he definitely would have caught Leclerc. However, Leclerc was not going to concede this podium. There was just no it was happening. The reason why I do believe once Leclerc got ahead of George Russell, whose tires were just gone, it was just evident to see that he was not going to. I don't think Lando just wasn't going to catch him. This Ferrari podium tells me that honestly, Ferrari's gonna be okay. Listen, I've been saying this every single race this season, but I have so much faith in Ferrari, which maybe this is what it feels like to be a Tifosi, but I do believe they did say when they brought those upgrades to Bahrain, they said that it wasn't going to be the best track to show. However, we did see today in Jeddah that I think they have the pace, you guys. I think they have the pace. The McLaren is a fast car. We know the McLaren's a fast car. But I think give Ferrari the right track, the right upgrades, and I think they could win a race if we are continuing on this position that we're continuing on. Also, their pit stops, they had a 2.1 pit stop for Lewis Hamilton today and a 2-second pit stop for Charles Leclerc. Ferrari, if there was a pit stop championship, Ferrari would be winning that first. I'm just saying, it would be. You cannot tell me that towards, I don't know. Maybe I'm just using the McLaren trajectory from last year, where after Miami, it was just up there. And I'm really holding on to that faith because I need Ferrari to show me something. I need them to show me something. And while we're talking about that, we need to talk about Lewis Hamilton. Because it's not been good. It's not been good for Lewis Hamilton, and you know what? I still have the belief. I still have the belief that one, we will definitely see a Lewis Hamilton podium this year. Potentially a win if Ferrari gets it right. With their pit stops, we know they're getting that right. And if we know they have the pace. They've had the pace consistently throughout this season. I just think they just need to bring the right upgrades. I want to talk about Lewis Hamilton for a minute because I'm very confused by the outside noise. This is my third race recap where I'm talking about this, where I've said Lewis Hamilton has been driving Mercedes cars his entire career. He knows that Mercedes engine like the back of his hand. He's 4 or 5 races in a Ferrari engine. Mind you, he won a sprint race. He got the pole in the sprint in China. He won the sprint in China. And he's been finishing, sure, 5th, 6th, 7th. That's I in a car that's has the pace, but it's not the fastest car as well. I don't know, you guys. I just think maybe we should have some grace. I think grace is allowed to be extended for a driver who's been racing in the sport with a specific engine his entire career. I mean, Carlos Sainz is now getting up to speed with that Williams. Mind you, Carlos Sainz only scored a point the first time because of disqualifications in China. And if we're allowed to give him grace, I don't see why Lewis Hamilton's not allowed to have that exact same grace as well. You can say because Lewis Hamilton's a 7-time world champion. Yeah, sure. But again, he's also been racing under one team for 12 years, under one engine for his entire career. And I just don't understand why people expect magic. Especially if we look at the history of when he's transferred teams. When he went over to Mercedes, was he winning races in 2013 like that? Right away? No, he was not. Was his teammate doing better than him at the start? And when he transferred to Mercedes? Yes. Charles Leclerc is a Ferrari boy. He's a Ferrari boy through and through. He knows that car. He's of course going to understand whatever changes they make towards that car instantly because he knows Ferrari and he knows that engine. That what Lewis Hamilton was to Mercedes is what Ferrari is to Charles Leclerc, minus the championship wins. But do you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to understand why people refuse to give him that grace. There's this expectation of Lewis Hamilton to just instantly succeed right away. Mind you, like I said earlier, Fernando Alonso is also another champion on the grid. Fernando Alonso hasn't won a championship since, 2006? He also hasn't won a race since 2013. He doesn't have any points this season. And yet, no one's saying anything. And that's not to compare the two, but they're the easiest people to compare. One, because they were previous teammates, they were rivals, and also they're the oldest on the grid, and they're also championship winners as well. So I'm just trying to find what the issue is. I know what the issue is, and you know what the issue is, but I just think grace is allowed. I think we're 5 races in, and for some reason, everyone just completely forgot that China happened. Everyone completely forgot that China happened. And yeah, Charles Leclerc is getting the better of him. No duh. Charles Leclerc has been racing with Ferrari for goodness knows how long. You can say that last year, George Russell also got the better of him. Sure. Absolutely. Let's talk about 2023. Because that Mercedes car was absolutely abysmal in 2023. However, guess who finished third in the standings after the Red Bulls? For some reason, don't know how. Lewis Hamilton did. So we have 1 year where he was absolutely just, it was not it last year, 2024 was not it. And yet he still won races. He won Silverstone, he won Belgium. This year, he's 5 races in. He's won a sprint race, Ferrari's first sprint race win, by the way. And apparently that means nothing to anyone. And no, it's Lewis Hamilton. He has to win every single race in that Ferrari car because he's Lewis Hamilton. Ferrari is Ferrari. Ferrari hasn't won a championship since Kimi Räikkönen. So I'm just trying to understand. Lewis Hamilton moving to Ferrari is not the reason why Ferrari's not winning championships because Ferrari hasn't won a championship since Kimi Räikkönen in 2007. No, yeah, in 2007. You know? And I will be expanding on this more in a future video when I talk about Lewis Hamilton. Like I do, I have an annual Lewis Hamilton video because apparently every single year I need to talk about this again about why you guys refuse to give Lewis Hamilton grace. You know? But yeah, I do think give Ferrari the right car, give Ferrari the right upgrade. I give Ferrari the right upgrade once it clicks for both drivers, mind you. Once it clicks for both drivers, I definitely see something magical happening with Ferrari. And when Lewis Hamilton joined Ferrari, I was under the impression that this was really a 2026 regulation change thing where that's where they're trying to get it right. Yeah, of course, the 2025 WDC would be amazing. WCC. They should be winning. They should be up there in the constructors. I believe wholeheartedly Ferrari should be up there in the constructors. I don't know why they're not. That's an issue for Ferrari to take up. But give Ferrari the right upgrade, and with the drivers that they have, I promise you they will be winning races this year. I'm standing by that 10 toes down. I am standing by that 10 toes down. They will be winning races this year. They might even be the next team to win a race this season. I'm just saying. But anyway, shout out to Charles Leclerc for getting that podium. I think that podium is needed and the break is needed. They had a breakthrough at this podium, and sometimes you just need that motivation as a team. I believe that. And just keep on pushing, as they say. Oh my god, I sound like Lewis Hamilton. Keep on pushing. But yeah, let's talk about. I already talked about Max Verstappen. I really have nothing more to say about Max Verstappen. I want to talk about Oscar Piastri and McLaren because. What did I say? No, you guys. If my Ferrari boys aren't winning, and if Lewis Hamilton's not winning the WDC, as much as I really want him to, and I'm always of the hope that anything can happen and that he will this year, if that's not gonna happen, shout out to Oscar Piastri. I'm rooting for you. Oscar Piastri. He is really finding. I think he's really finding it. And could this potentially be a McLaren 2007 thing? You know, it's giving. The only difference is Lando is the McLaren homegrown boy. Oscar Piastri really came in last year. And I've said this before. I want to talk a few things about Lando and Oscar. I've said this before. If I was Lando Norris and I had to wait almost how long has he been racing with McLaren? Like 7 years? I had to wait 7 years for my team to get it right and to get my first race win. And then my rookie teammate comes in. And the year that I win a race in Miami, my rookie teammate also wins a race. Even though I had to wait all these years, I would be burning. I would be like, thank you for giving me a race-winning car, and now you gave me competition as well. Mind you, he's always had competitive teammates. I mean, Carlos Sainz is a very, I guess different eras. But if Carlos Sainz had stayed with McLaren and grown with McLaren, like, buddy, competition. That's a competitive teammate. Daniel Ricciardo didn't go too well for him at McLaren, but oof, that would suck. I do want to say Lando Norris. I really want him to just it's hard. It is hard. I can only imagine how hard it is to be a driver and have all the media and eyes on you. I definitely think Lando Norris has learned from his comments that he made about Lewis Hamilton and how it should be easy to win a championship if you have a championship-winning car because all you have to do is drive. Definitely think he's learned from that and will not make those comments anymore because guess what, Lando? It's not easy. But I hate to see anyone go through what seems to be the mental turmoil that Lando's going through, and I don't like that. Like, the minute he crashed in Q3, he called himself an effing idiot. I'm like, oh, buddy, please, be kinder to yourself. Genuinely. Be kinder to yourself, because if you're not kind to yourself, that's going to reflect in how you're racing everyone else. And that's why you're making these mistakes. Because you need to have that belief. Yeah, you crashed. You made an error that you should not have made. Okay. Pick yourself up and move. You need to be kinder to yourself. And I really wish I could just be like, Lando, be nicer to yourself. It's okay. It's okay. Um, and I do think that's what's going to be his biggest issue. Him. He's going to be his biggest issue and his biggest competition this season. It's going to be him because you can't have, I don't think you can have that kind of mentality when you have a very competitive teammate as well. Who see from what we see, he's straight up always being cool, calm, and collected. Even in times where he makes mistakes, he's like, "Yep," and he keeps it pushing. And I think that's kind of where Lando needs to go because if you're trying to win a WDC this year could potentially be McLaren's only chance, last and only chance for a while because we have new regulation changes coming next year. So I really need Lando to just breathe, 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 breathe. You know, but it's giving Oscar Piastri could really, really. He's won 3 races this season. He's genuinely the only repeat winner this season. 3 races this season. He's just been able to get it right where his teammate has not been getting it right. Whenever his teammate makes those errors, Oscar's right there to pick up the pieces and take McLaren to the win. And he needs to keep doing that because we know while Max Verstappen is very competitive, Oscar Piastri has that car and he's a good racer. And if he can just keep it together, bar Australia, such is life. He might win the championship, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won the championship. But again, it's still only 5 races deep. It's so early days. It's so early days. If I've learned anything from last year, quite literally anything can happen. So do with that what you will. I'm really, really curious to see what's going to happen for the remainder of the season. I'm crossing all my fingers for Ferrari, all of my fingers for Lewis Hamilton. It's I want it for him so bad. I might want it more for him than he might want it for. I'm kidding. No, but like in the sense that remember when he won Silverstone last year and it just felt like, that confidence. I don't think he's lost confidence this season. I just think he's just tried to understand things and we go from there. Lewis Hamilton, the fans are not mad at you. Remember that. We understand. I was expecting genuinely it could have been worse. It could be worse. This is fine with me. I'm just saying. I would love a race win, but when that race win comes, it's going to be even sweeter than what we think it's going to be. And it won't be the last for him this season. Okay, apparently I just started preaching about Lewis Hamilton, but hey, that's all I have to say today about I'm not Bahrain. That's all I have to say today about Jeddah. Thank you all for sitting here and watching this. And if you're listening to the audio version, thank you for listening to the audio version. I will see you all in Miami, which might be a late upload because I will be going to a watch party for the Miami Grand Prix. So I might not upload my Miami GP recap until Tuesday. I'm going to try my hardest to upload it on Monday, but it might just have to go live like how my audio versions go live on the Tuesday instead. If that's the case, I'm so sorry, and I will see you all the Tuesday after Miami. Thank you all, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.